This is the QTV Nightly News, and I am Loliam Kamara. Thank you for joining us. Here are tonight's headlines. With support from the UNDP Fund for Post-TRRC Initiatives, Fankanta, a woman-led organization, held a two-day stakeholder dialogue on Thursday on youth mobilization, urban rural youth realities, security sector reforms, mental health, and trauma, among other topics. In a bid to promote child rights education in higher learning institutions such as the university, UNICEF signs Memorandum of Understanding with the University of the Gambia. And in international news, a joint ECOWAS Parliamentary Committee delocalized a meeting opened in Monrovia, Liberia on Monday to assess the effectiveness of the ECOWAS investment policy in reducing rising unemployment. And some sports news. It's a hat-trick of titles for Real de Banjul after a 2-2 draw against second-place Fortune FC sees them clinch the 4th Division League title with 2 games to spare. Those were the headlines. Now the news in detail. Thank you for joining us. With support from the UNDP Fund for Post-TRRC Initiatives, Fankanta, a women-led organization, held a 2-day stakeholder dialogue from Thursday on youth mobilization, urban rural youth realities, security sector reforms, mental health and trauma, among other topics. Aissatou Barry reports.
The 2-day event brought together civil society representatives, students, youth groups, government officials, and victims from the 2000 April 10th and 11th protest to assess progress, build consensus on the next step for national healing and reconciliation, and to collectively work towards finding meaningful solutions and a more just society. The UNDP has funded a film, Living with the Scars, remembering April 10th and 11th, 2000. The drama documentary revisits one of the most tragic chapters in the Gambia's history, the April 10th and 11th student demonstrations, sparked by the death of a 15-year-old schoolboy, tortured by security officials, and the rape of a 15-year-old schoolgirl. These events escalated into a nationwide tragedy. Our Da Costa, Fantanka's Programs and Outreach Coordinator, highlights how the dialogue will impact the change in the transitional justice process.
We believe this would be an important knowledge material for the government regarding policy making, but also how we move forward post-dictatorship and proper into the transitional justice scope of the Gambia.
The dialogue aims to deepen understanding of the Truth, Reconciliation and Reparations Commission, the TRRC recommendations, focusing on sustainable ways to implement its findings and foster a more inclusive approach to peace building between youth and the government. Imran Dabo, a legal expert and consultant at Fantanka, emphasized on what needs to be done to make sure that the injustices of the former regime don't repeat itself again.
This dialogue today is about bringing young people, bringing education institutions, government and also security to kind of chart a direction, draw conclusions and recommendations from that, and then use that to rebuild our system and our structures.
Through presentations and interactive sessions, the event also highlighted the role of community leaders, women, and youth in promoting a culture of peace and dialogue across the nation. Here is Fatou Bintou Bojang, a student participant from Nusrat Senior Secondary School.
Every right has a responsibility that is backed by it. So as far as you're exercising your right, I know that I have rights as a human being in this country, as a citizen. I also have responsibilities. That is, abide by the law.
Here is Fatou Balde, the founder of Women in Leadership and Liberation, and Madi Jabate, a human rights activist.
One of the findings of the TRRC is that sexual violence was used as a weapon to silence opponents of the Jammeh regime.
Protest is not first and foremost anti-government. Rather, it is a demand for transparency. It's a demand for accountability. It's a demand for justice. It's to resist what is not right, corruption, injustice, abuse, and so on.
Holding a stakeholder dialogue that reflects the youth demographic is vital in the post-transitional justice era, as young people are deeply affected by past injustices and play a critical role in shaping the future of the Gambia. Aissatou Bari, QTV News.
In a bid to promote child rights education in higher learning institutions such as universities, UNICEF signs Memorandum of Understanding with the University of the Gambia. The MOU formalizes the establishment of a Child Rights Center at the University of the Gambia. Jenna Bosonko has the details.
The establishment of the Child Rights Center at the University of the Gambia is meant to support the aim to ensure that academic insight, policy influence, and student engagement align with the efforts to secure sustainable, child-sensitive financing in the Gambia. The MOU signing was preceded by a high-level engagement and technical working session aimed at strengthening institutional capacity on child's rights. The engagement highlighted the crucial functions of child rights centers, including the promotion of child rights, the generation of evidence and knowledge on children, and the integration of child rights into academic curricula. Here is the Deputy Vice-Chancellor, University of the Gambia.
We here, about 30 of us, are champions, now champions on child rights, and it is the belief that we manifest that championship in us. As a university, I want to reiterate that we are committed to all what we have in the MOU, and we make sure that it is not just a signed document, but it will be implemented as documented.
The UNICEF country representative highlights that this year holds special significance for UNICEF as the organization marks 60 years of partnership with the Gambia government. She describes the MOU as a proud moment that symbolizes shared determination to leave no child behind and to equip national institutions with the key tools and knowledge to lead that work well into the future.
This week's commemoration of the Day of the African Child, under the theme Planning and Budgeting for Children's Rights, Progress since 2010, further reminds us that our collective commitments must be backed by sustainable investment, transparency, and accountability.
The Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Welfare and the University of the Gambia, with support from UNICEF, launched the Bachelors of Science in Social Work. The launch is described as a milestone in building a stronger, more professionalized national workforce for child protection and social services. Reporting for QTV News, I am Jenna Bosonko.
From that story by Jenna Bosonko, we'll now go for a commercial break. When we return, we will hear about the launch of an initiative to place vaccines and primary care supplies at local clinics. We'll also hear how Real de Banjo made it a hat-trick of titles win in a row. Join us after the break for these and much more stories.
Browse Bitus. QCell brings you a promo like never before. Get unlimited internet for just $25. Yes! Recharge $25 and enjoy the convenience of free internet from 1 a.m. to 6 a.m. every day with our Browse Bitus promo. With this amazing offer, you can browse, stream, and download all your favorite movies for free. So why wait? Recharge $25 today and enjoy free internet only with QCell between 1 a.m. to 6 a.m. For more information, call customer care on 111. QCell, Senior Bus, we innovate, others follow. Terms and conditions apply.
Premium Basalt, now back in stock. In an effort to support the rapid infrastructural development of the Gambia, GATCH is proud to announce that our premium quality basalt is now available at our depot in Saro, near Denton Bridge. Our basalt has been rigorously tested by both national and private laboratories in the Gambia and Cape Verde, ensuring top-tier quality for road constructions, concrete, and buildings. Sourced directly from our partner's own quarry in Cape Verde, we guarantee a steady and timely supply thanks to the short shipping distance. We have 03, 38, and 816 basalt in stock to meet all your project needs. Every order is weighed, so you receive exactly what you paid for. No guesswork, just precision. Visit us, GATCH Depot Saro near Denton Bridge, or call us at 457-4048 or 533-2009.
Welcome back, and this is QTV News. The Ministry of Health, in collaboration with UNICEF, Gavi, and other partners, launched a drive initiative in Brikama on Friday. The event aimed at placing vaccines and primary care supplies directly into local clinics and outreach teams. Julden Jai attended the event and Sina reports.
The Gambia has achieved 84% DPT-3 coverage among children aged 12 to 23 months in 2023, according to WHO and UNICEF data released on July 15, 2024. However, coverage inequities persist, with underdeserved and remote communities lagging behind national averages. To close these gaps, DRIVE introduces a push logistics model, delivering vaccines and essential primary care commodities straight to healthcare centers, cutting out delays from central stores. Usman Bojang, Regional Governor, West Coast Region, commends stakeholders, saying it is challenging to bring vaccines to all.
Look at our HIV testing and other stuff. I think this is an opportunity. This is a start. And with this start, we have opened up a door for other opportunities to come for healthcare delivery to the doorsteps of every single person in this country.
This coordinated effort aligns with the Gambia's 2021-2030 National Health Policy, which emphasizes equity in child and maternal health. The urgency is underscored by recent polio alerts. Environmental surveillance in February 2024 detected circulating vaccine-driven poliovirus type 2 in Banjul, prompting supplementary campaigns that achieved over 95% coverage by March 2025. Mbaye, Deputy Program Manager, Expanded Program on Immunization at the Ministry of Health, says the concept was conceived since 2023, after an assessment was done to identify communities that have low immunization coverage.
7 health facilities selected in West Coast Central River Region, 8 health facilities selected in West Coast Region 2, and 6 health facilities in URR. So these partners, the delivery partners, will be working with the health facility staff and then identify the time they need the vaccines, and then they will be delivering the vaccines, and also health commodities that will be delivered.
Nafisa bin Shafiq, UNICEF representative, says the initiative is more than a logistical milestone. It is a reaffirmation of a fundamental principle that every child has the right to survive, to thrive, and to grow up healthy, no matter where they are born or where they live.
Today we are handing 20 tricycles to delivery partners across the Western to Central River and Upper River regions, as identified by the 2023 Immunization Equity Assessment as having the highest number of zero-dose children who have never received a single dose of life-saving vaccines. A stark and urgent reminder of the inequities we must address.
Dr. Ahmadulamin Samate, Minister for Health, says for far too long, vaccinations has been a challenge for the government.
It is gratifying to note that other partners have seen the example, and Badia has come on board, and we are working on commencement of the construction of 8 new health posts for immunization services in this country. Certainly, construction is important, but it goes hand in hand with the availability of the tools that we need and the materials that we need to deliver to the people, and certainly the people who deliver these materials to the people that are of interest to us.
The event ended by handing over of UNICEF purchased tricycles to the Ministry of Health, which is at a tune of over $4 million to facilitate the transportation of the vaccines to the communities. For QTV News, I am Julden Jai.
As other regions embrace research and technology to advance their development aspirations, African intellectuals are also encouraging African countries to strengthen their research capacity to meet development targets and compete against developed regions. QTV's Ansumana Esonyasi spoke with 2 professors on Monday, and he now reports.
Africa has natural minerals in abundance and is home to the world's youngest population. However, despite these advantages, the continent also hosts some of the poorest countries in the world. This contrast in fortune has been largely attributed to huge investments in research and technology by developed nations. Recognizing the need to invest in research to help change Africa's fortunes, Professor Habib Mahama of Qatar University and Professor Herbert Robinson, Vice Chancellor of the University of the Gambia, advocate for more investment in research. They argue that to ensure sustainable growth, Africa needs to strengthen its research capacity, adding that by instituting evidence-based policies and investing in human and infrastructural development, the continent will overcome its current challenges.
Some of the common problems we share across Africa, especially in ECOWAS, where we have significant number of graduate unemployment. The question is, why are they unemployed? And then we also look at over-dependence on the public sector, where almost every graduate coming out is looking up to the government to employ him or her. This is not the situation in the West.
If we have an incubation hub, the incubation hub can help our students and staff with ideas, to nurture those ideas from ideas to commercial opportunities. And that can also help to stimulate growth in the country.
As university professors, they are championing a project that seeks to institute a robust research culture in universities and reposition higher learning institutions on the continent into breeding platforms for the continent's next generation of business leaders. They believe that by reinforcing the continent's research capacity, the over-reliance on external knowledge that often does not align with our local realities will become a thing of the past.
You can have the best people in terms of business ideas, but that third element is to do with attitude. How do we change our mindsets? Attitude in terms of ethics, in terms of integrity, in terms of giving back to our country, giving back to society, giving back to our communities.
Research has to inform curriculum, and research has to inform policy. So one of the legs is to see how we can develop our research capacity so that we fulfill these needs. And that means that we need to have a global perspective. And we need to also be able to localize the global. Make it a Gambian thing, make it an African thing, but you are still global.
Investing in research and technology will help Africa overcome its development challenges. This will also ensure that the continent can define its future and compete against other global powers. Answane Sonyasi for KTV News.
Now for some international news. A joint ECOWAS parliamentary committee delocalized a meeting opened in Monrovia, Liberia, Monday to assess the effectiveness of the ECOWAS investment policy in reducing rising unemployment, particularly among the youth. Aliu Sise reports.
Organized under the theme Assessing the Effectiveness of the ECOWAS Investment Policy for Addressing the Rising Levels of Unemployment in the Sub-Region, the meeting brings together experts and members of the ECOWAS Parliament's Joint Committee on Administrative, Finance and Budget, Macroeconomic Policy and Economic Research, Public Accounts, Industry and Private Sector. Senator Edwin Melvin Suno Jr., head of the Liberia's delegation to the ECOWAS Parliament, said unemployment is not just an economic concern but a social emergency, warning of its effects on migration, peace and development.
Too many of our young people with talent, ambitious, are without the opportunity for jobs. Yet we believe that with the right mix of policy, reform, investment incentive, and regional collaboration, we can change this narrative not only for Liberia, but for the entire ECOWAS community.
Senator Nyangbile Kanga Lawrence, President pro tempore of the Liberian Senate, hoped the meeting will yield actionable outcomes and reaffirm Liberian Senate's commitment to regional integration, economic growth and peace.
For Liberia, this theme resonates strongly with our national priorities. Our government, with active legislative support, has embarked on reforms to attract both domestic and foreign investment. We have prioritized legal frameworks that enhance transparency, reduce bureaucratic hurdles, and encourage innovation.
Representing the Speaker of the ECOWAS Parliament, 4th Deputy Speaker Bilaji Tunkara, noted that while the sub-region has seen economic growth over the past years, the benefits have not translated into sufficient job creation. He stressed the need to target investment more directly at employment-generating sectors, improve institutional capacities, and strengthen support to SMEs.
Many member states face limitation in institutional capacity
which hinders the effective implementation of investment policies. Inadequate infrastructure remain a major obstacle affecting efficiency of investments and showing economic diversification. Access to affordable financing is still a significant barrier, particularly for small and medium-sized enterprises.
Alhaji S. Dabo, chairman of the ECOWAS Parliament's Committee on Macroeconomic Policy and Economic Research, called for the ECOWAS investment policy to shift from theory to practice and to deliver jobs for ordinary citizens.
As a regional parliament, our role is to ensure that the implementation of this policy reflects national priorities, responds to the needs of our citizens, and aligns with our regional integration goals.
The outcomes of the meeting are expected to produce concrete recommendations to refine ECOWAS's investment strategy, making it more responsive to the urgent unemployment crisis in the sub-region. Reporting for QTV News, I am Aliou Cisse.
Now, on to some sports news. Real de Banjul are champions of the GFF First Division League for the third consecutive time after a 2-2 draw against second-place Fortune at the Live Your Dream complex in Basuri on Thursday. Our sports reporter Mamadou Gajaga has the details.
Real de Banjul showed their current supremacy in Gambian football by making it a hard trick of league trophies after a 2-2 draw against second-place Fortune FC in a highly competitive and exciting game played on Thursday at the Live Your Dream complex in Basuri. The champions led twice, only to be pegged back before the end of the first half. Swaibu Kebe had opened the scoring just after 5 minutes for Real de Banjul before Ibu Nene Gassama added a second to give the men in white what seemed like a comfortable lead in the 14th minute. However, just when it appeared the champions were going to run away with it, they were stunned twice. Firstly, Adama Kante reduced the deficit in the 43rd minute before Salifu Koli made it 2-2 just before half-time. Both sides went for the winner in the second half, but there were no further goals. Real de Banjul again triumphed as the best football club in the Gambia with another stellar season, winning the league with 2 matches to spare on 56 points from 28 games, with only 4 losses. Fortune FC are second on 48 points. Mamadou Gajaga, QTV News.
Congratulations to them. And before we end, here's a recap of the headlines. With support from the UNDP Fund for Post-RRC initiatives, Fantanka, a woman-led organization, Fankanta, right? A woman-led organization held a 2-day stakeholder dialogue on Thursday on youth mobilization, urban rural youth realities, security reforms, sector reforms, mental health and trauma, among other topics. In a bid to promote child rights education in higher learning institutions such as universities, UNICEF signs Memorandum of Understanding with the University of the Gambia. And in international news, a joint ECOWAS Parliamentary Committee delocalized meeting opened in Monrovia, Liberia on Monday to assess the effectiveness of the ECOWAS investment policy in reducing rising unemployment. And now some sports news. We heard about a hat-trick of titles for Real de Banjul after a 2-2 draw against second-place Fortune FC saw them clinch the First Division League title with 2 games to spare. That's all for this news bulletin. Join us again tomorrow at 8 p.m. for our next bulletin. Thanks for watching.